Okay, day 121, and this is part 4. And I want to comment on two things. One are credibility attacks, and which I call lemons and lemonade. And two are sort of this kids' table stuff, which is kind of like the DeFango stuff. And they're two kind of ways of disruption or knocking down a story or knocking down an investigation. And I'll just choose three, and I'm not picking on Crowdsource of Truth here, but there's been three kind of guests that have come on to his thing and just kind of read a presentation. They had their, presentation in mind, and here we're going to give, I brought Robin Gritz to his channel, and that was a great interview. But the three that are the anonymous guys that have just recently been on, first one was the Horowitz guy, the doctor, and he was like, okay, this is how it goes. Horowitz was a really great guy, and you could hear him reading the talking points. Horowitz wasn't a great guy. You had Warner from the Senate, conspiring, going over and bringing in Russians after Trump's president to do a coup. Okay, all that's going on. Warner's not saying nothing. They had a whistleblower named Laffer around July time frame, and that's when all this stuff happens. Okay, when Strokes is on the committee, Page is on the committee, blah blah blah. It was when Laffer came out and blew the whistle. That's when all the stuff changed. This is why this 190 whistleblower reports are so important. Okay, the people that I came out yesterday against, the two guys from Fat Leonard, okay, which is the drug operations in the Pacific Theater, U.S. PACOM. Okay, I came out against two guys. I didn't indict those two guys, believe it or not. The one guy named Lovelace, who was the head of Navy intelligence. The other guy was named Gilbo. Think about gills, being in a bow. Okay, those guys, head of supplies. I said, hey, they could supply a lot of intelligence, right? This Gunner guy comes out of the woodwork after that. I'm not saying those are directly related, but again, he's telling his message, his story. This is his story. Deep uranium's full of crap. George, it's full of crap. Jason thankfully cut him off, which I appreciate. But Kevin Shipp, he kind of got set up with this Mossad thing. And Kevin Shipp would have been a great guest to talk about Operation Cassandra because he's in the business. This was this was the drug ring, the $200 million a month drug ring that was going on. And saying, hey, Kevin, do you ever heard anything like that? Have you ever seen a drug op like that? Anything. Kevin would have been able to provide that. But instead, he presented me as somebody who had presented himself as a Mossad agent. The reason why it was so important for me to say old Mossad and all that stuff is I was receiving these emails from these kind of antique dealers and these people that used to be a part of this old network, this old French network that went all the way back to the days of 1812. They'd meet people at the docks. I can't remember. I did a couple of shows on it. But anyway, I was getting this information from these French diplomatic services that was saying, hey, and also Mr. Podesta's movements with artwork all around Europe. So I was like, oh, this is really great. This must be Mossad. But anyway, they were saying, hey, this diplomatic pouch, I can't go into exactly who this person is, but diplomatic pouch became a bigger container, then finally became the short container, finally the long container, finally a ship manifest with the whole boat could be diplomatic container. I'm like, wow, smuggler's delight. So that's where the whole diplomatic cover came from. All that came from that. So Deep Uranium was on the other side saying, hey, uranium, high voltage kind of thing, fear, stay away. And that was the perfect thing for the drug cover. So I don't take any one person and say, oh, that's, be all and end all. What I do is I say additive. It's like additive manufacturing. You keep adding to the story rather than worried about, oh, that's that guy's story. Now, how do I attack it? How do I submarine it? How do I torpedo it? The guests he has on, he doesn't seem to realize are being sent out because they're torpedoing. Lovelace, okay, had this group of Navy SEALs, right, Special Forces guys that were doing all this shit, with the drugs. It's not all Navy SEALs. It's a special access program. That's a dark program. It's getting its support from the WANs, for its logistics. And the supply, we've identified their little supply school in Bethesda. So rather than come in and say, okay, how do we attack Deep Uranium, who has obviously been on a lot of Navy ships and he's been on a lot of air bases and he's done a lot of covert ops and their whole group has, rather than the right question would have been, How does this happen? How do you supply remote Navy SEALs teams? Okay, how does that happen for a dark weapons op? What's the ratio supporting, let's say we had a SEAL team of 12 guys. How many people in the field would that be? Where would you stage the stuff? Don't have a guy come on and just say, okay, this guy's full of crap and that guy's full of crap and let's make them go back 12 steps so they have to, march up the hill again. That's my point, is it's additive. I don't care if Jason makes $2 million a year. I know he's made $1 million, okay? I want him to make 10 million. I don't care. I want him to have all the viewers. But think about the questions and how to move the story forward. Don't think about how to attack somebody else and take the credibility down. It's not me. I didn't indict Lovelace. I didn't indict Gilbo, okay? This guy was some apparatchik of those guys coming in to say, take that guy down. That's not moving the ball forward. It's stupid. I'm sorry, it's just stupid. The same thing happened when we broke the story with the two guys. We had finally had two cops to come forward on Operation Cassandra in New York. And he attacked me on the Cy Hirsch thing. Not the day to do it. The day the story broke with the Owans on the lawsuit story with the One America Network to start all the crap with my brother. Stupid. Move the story forward. Add to the story. Go ahead. If you want to say, George said he had some sources in, whatever, that's fine. That's great. Attack what I said. Attack the diplomatic container. Attack the intelligence that I got. Don't attack the source. Say there is no such a thing as a diplomatic container. They get to search the diplomatic container. There's blah, blah, blah. There's no diplomatic courier that goes with it. That's the thing. Attack the intelligence that's coming from that. Don't attack the source. Again and again and again and again, it's just attacking the source, attacking the source, attacking the source. It does not move the ball forward. You're playing into their hands.